Father Barnabas Powell is pastor of Saints Raphael, Nicholas, and Irene, Greek Orthodox Church of Cumming, Georgia, USA. Here's Father Barnabas with Sunday's homily.
It's a genuine joy to see you today and to spend some time here in the worship of God. But I have to confess, the more I live in this chaotic world, the more I struggle. I struggle against anger. I struggle against despondency. I struggle against cynicism. I struggle against short-sighted and short-term fixes for a society that seems to be hell-bent on hell. People being killed while they're praying. And yet, brothers and sisters, I must confess to you that if I take my faith seriously, then I come to a different conclusion. We all saw what happened in New Zealand. The madman who committed these murders made sure of it. I am grateful to God that some of the news media are now blacking out his face or blanking out his face and refusing to spread his manifesto that he had written. Isn't it amazing how much all these manifestos have in common? It seems like every one of these evil manifestos, whether they're inspired by Islam or they're inspired by white supremacy or they're inspired by black power or white power or yellow powder or gunpowder, all these manifestos have one thing in common. If those folks were just dead, we'd be fine. Or worse yet, if those folks would just go into their own place. Everybody just segregate away from each other. And it isn't amazing that this sick, satanic ideology has one thing in common. They all use death to achieve their goals. Isn't that amazing? Which is absolutely antithetical and absolutely diametrically opposed to the normal Orthodox Christian faith that says death has been defeated by Jesus Christ. And why in heaven's name this planet and we humans still think death is a weapon that we should use? It's not just the insanity of racism and the foolishness and the dead end, if I can coin a phrase, the dead end of ideologies that seem to say, well, let's kill these other people and then everything will be fine. But brothers and sisters, the stench of death seeps into every aspect of our lives. We now have doctors who no longer take the Hippocratic Oath, do no harm. Do you know why? Because they're now using death as medicine. Because we have foolishly believed that suffering is the worst thing that can happen to somebody. And we have so ingrained that in our medical system, and we have so ingrained it in our culture that, well, if they're suffering, they'd be better off. When there is also a stench of cost in the nostrils as well. Well, it's expensive to keep them alive. How inconvenient. Brothers and sisters, let me tell you something. When life becomes inconvenient, pretty soon all life will be inconvenient. They're already doing euthanasia on people who just feel sad in Europe. Death is not the answer. Death has never been the answer. Death will never be the answer. Death is not what you were made for. You were made, as Jesus said in John's Gospel in another place, you were made to have life and have it to the full. Now some will take this homily and they'll say, oh, well, Father doesn't believe in self-defense. And of course that's not true. Just touch my kids. And yet, because the Orthodox Christian faith teaches without any fear of contradiction that Jesus Christ has conquered death, not even physical death is the worst thing that can happen to a person. Not even physical death is the worst thing that can happen to a person. Our gospel lesson today tells us about Nathanael, who discovers our Lord Jesus Christ. And Philip tells his cousin Nathanael, we found the Messiah. And it's Jesus of Nazareth. Nazareth? Why, come on. Can any good thing come out of Nazareth? Little backwater town? And Philip said the key phrase, come and see. Because you see, brothers and sisters, until we who enshrine the theology that Jesus Christ has conquered death, until we live out the victory of Christ in our own lives, the world will never see the risen Messiah. You are the hands and feet of Jesus in this generation. You are the face of Christ in this generation. In fact, St. Basil declared, what is not assumed is not healed. This is the reason why we have this Sunday of the triumph of orthodoxy and the restoration of the holy icons, because faith was meant to be seen. It was meant to be visible. When it's locked away in your cranium and it's, oh, well, that's faith is a private matter. Private. When faith is locked away in the safe confines of political correctness, it keeps the world blind to the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Why do you think we want to build a new church? Just because we want more room for more people? Well, yeah. But we also want to create an icon of paradise for this community. We want the world to see, come and see, the victory of Jesus Christ over death. If we don't teach these people, if we don't visibly show these people, our friends, our neighbors, our families, that Jesus Christ has conquered the power of death, we will live in the grip of the fear of death our whole lives. Faith was meant to be seen. Why do you think we make the sign of the cross? I had one of the kids one time ask me, Dad, why are you making the sign of the cross? I said, I don't want anybody to be confused on whose side I'm on. It's like wearing your school colors. I don't want anybody, seen or unseen, demons, angels, people, Democrats. I'll add Republicans too, just in case. I don't want anybody to wonder whose side I'm on. I don't want anybody to wonder whose side I'm on. I'm on the side of life. Life, brothers and sisters, that's the weapon. And isn't it interesting? In our Orthodox church, we wear crosses. An instrument of death now becoming a symbol of life. Christ has conquered death by death. Hell swallowed what it thought was a man and found God. We Orthodox Christians are for life, not perpetual war, not the delusion of the convenience of abortion, not the satanic-inspired racism of this or that supremacy. We are for life. We choose life. We live life. This morning, on this Sunday of the triumph of orthodoxy, when the holy icons were restored to the church, when the theology that our faith is meant to be visible, brothers and sisters, our faith is meant to be seen, not hidden. When we realize the value and the worth of building that icon of paradise in Cumming, Georgia, but not just for Cumming, for the whole world, for your children's sake, for your children's children's sake, as an investment in eternal things. When we embrace living life and not being a slave to death, we embody the best of being Orthodox indeed. This morning, I'm reminded of the words in the Old Testament. After Moses had died, the children of Israel were scattered. They didn't know what to do. And the prophet of God stood before them and said, on this Sunday of Orthodoxy, I use these words to you. Today, I set before you good and evil, life and death. You choose today. Who will you serve? Amen.
You can follow Father Barnabas on YouTube or on our church website at stsrni.org. Thank you for watching.